There comes a moment when everything you've prayed for, everything you've waited on, starts aligning. At first, the shift is almost imperceptible, a change in the atmosphere, a quiet stirring in your spirit. But before the manifestation fully appears, there are clear, undeniable signs. These are not coincidences. They are divine indicators that heaven has already moved on your behalf. The question is, will you recognize them? Too often, people wait for the final breakthrough before believing that God is at work. They assume that unless they see the full promise in front of them, nothing is happening. But the truth is, the breakthrough always begins in the spirit before it reaches the physical. And if you miss the signs, you risk delaying what is already in motion. That's why this message is critical. Some of you are on the verge of a major shift, yet doubt and distraction have blinded you to the confirmations God has been placing before you. The doors are not just opening, they're already unlocked. The answers are not just coming, they're already here. But without discernment, you may walk past them, still searching for what has already arrived. If you're new to this channel, I warmly invite you to subscribe and like this video because it helps us reach more people who need this revelation. By doing so, you'll stay connected to transformative content that is designed to guide and empower you on your journey. Let's begin. 5 signs your manifestation is coming. The first sign is a deep and unshakable peace. Something begins to shift, not in the world around you, but within you. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible. The noise of your circumstances remains the same. The battles still rage. And yet, somehow, you're no longer shaken. An unexplainable calm settles deep in your spirit, like a river flowing beneath the surface, untouched by the chaos above. This is not the kind of peace the world offers, the kind that depends on everything going right, on conditions aligning perfectly. No, this is something else entirely. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding. It doesn't ask for proof. It doesn't need an explanation. It simply is a quiet confidence, a knowing, that even if nothing around you changes, you have already changed. People may look at you and wonder how you can remain so composed, how you can face the same challenges, walk through the same struggles, and yet carry yourself with an ease they don't understand. It's because something in you knows that what's coming is greater than what's been lost, knows that the shift has already begun, not outside, but within. This is what happens before a breakthrough. This is what happens before the doors open, before the prayers manifest, before the promise arrives. An unshakable peace settles in, even before there's any physical reason for it. It's the same peace Jesus carried when he stood in the storm. The winds howled, the waves crashed, and yet he wasn't disturbed. The disciples were frantic, their hearts filled with fear, but Jesus, he rested. And when he finally rose to speak, he didn't address the storm with panic. He didn't rebuke the disciples for their fear. He simply said, "Peace, be still." Because the peace wasn't about the storm. It was about what was already inside him. This is the sign. This is the shift. The moment you begin to experience this peace, the kind that doesn't come from external validation, but from an internal knowing, you must understand, the breakthrough is already in motion. Many who have experienced life-altering transformations have spoken of this feeling. Before the job offer, before the financial turnaround, before the miracle, there was peace. A certainty in their spirit that told them it was already done. Let's continue. The second sign is increased resistance and opposition. The closer you get to a breakthrough, the more intense the opposition becomes. It feels like the world is conspiring against you. Unexpected setbacks, conflicts that come out of nowhere, and a relentless sense of exhaustion. Just when things seem to be falling into place, everything suddenly becomes 10 times harder. Opportunities slip through your fingers. The support you once had vanishes. You begin questioning whether you've been chasing an illusion all along. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur who had been working tirelessly to launch her business. After years of struggle, she finally secured an investor who believed in her vision. Contracts were drafted, agreements were made, and the future seemed bright. But just days before everything was finalized, she faced one roadblock after another. The investor suddenly became hesitant. Unexpected financial issues arose. Doubts crept in, and fear whispered that maybe this was a sign to walk away. She could have given up. The weight of discouragement was unbearable. But she pushed forward, refused to quit, and days later, the deal went through. That one moment of persistence changed her entire life. The resistance wasn't a stop sign, it was a test of endurance. Another example is an athlete training for the biggest competition of his career. For years, he had pushed his body to the limit, dedicated every waking hour to perfecting his craft. Then, just weeks before the event, an injury threatened to take him out. The pain was unbearable. Doctors advised him to withdraw. Friends told him it wasn't worth the risk. Self-doubt crept in, telling him to surrender. But something inside him refused to quit. Against all odds, he fought through the pain, showed up on competition day, and walked away with the victory. Looking back, he realized that the moment he almost gave up was the exact moment he was closest to his dream. Resistance is a sign. It's a test to see if you truly believe in what you're fighting for. The biggest breakthroughs happen to those who refuse to surrender, even when everything seems to be falling apart. Every great success story is filled with moments of extreme opposition, moments when the person could have given up, but didn't. Now think about your own life. Have you ever been at the edge of something great, only to face overwhelming resistance? Did you push through, or did you let fear hold you back? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs right now. The third sign is unusual divine confirmations. When God is orchestrating something significant in your life, He rarely leaves room for doubt. Instead, He confirms it again and again until the weight of His message becomes undeniable. It may start subtly, a passing thought, a verse that seems to linger in your mind. But then, as if woven into the very fabric of your days, the same message begins to echo through unexpected places. A sermon you weren't even planning to hear delivers the exact words you've been wrestling with. A conversation with a stranger inexplicably touches on the very thing you've been praying about. Even your dreams seem to whisper the same truth over and over, each time with greater clarity. This is how God operates when He's preparing to shift something in your life. He doesn't just speak once and expect you to catch it. He confirms it through repetition, through divine alignment, through undeniable patterns that defy human logic. And yet, the most powerful confirmations are often the ones we don't seek out. They find us. They interrupt our routine, catching us off guard and pulling us into a deeper awareness of God's presence. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a major breakthrough, yet doubting whether to take the next step. Perhaps they've prayed for direction, asking God for clarity, for a sign. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, the confirmations begin. First, it's a scripture that speaks directly to their situation. Then, a friend brings up the exact thing they were contemplating, unaware of how deeply relevant it is. Days later, they overhear a conversation between two strangers, and the words spoken feel as though they were plucked straight from their own thoughts. Each time, the message is the same. Each time, the confirmation grows louder. God is not a God of confusion. When He speaks, He makes sure His voice is known. But here's the challenge. Are you paying attention? Are you recognizing the patterns, or dismissing them as mere coincidences? Many people miss divine confirmations because they expect them to arrive in a spectacular, unmistakable way. Perhaps an audible voice from heaven or a supernatural event that defies the laws of nature. But more often than not, God speaks through the familiar, the ordinary, the seemingly small moments that carry a weight far greater than they appear. Consider the story of someone on the brink of a life-altering decision. They've been battling doubt, unsure whether to take a leap of faith. In their heart, they sense a pull, a quiet but persistent nudge that refuses to leave. And then, the confirmations start pouring in. A book randomly falls open to a passage that directly addresses their dilemma. A sermon they had no intention of watching suddenly answers their most pressing question. A friend reaches out with an encouraging word, unaware that they are delivering a direct response from God. It is in these moments, when the same message keeps surfacing in different forms, that one must recognize divine fingerprints at work. This is not a mere chance. It is alignment. It is evidence that heaven is orchestrating something beyond human understanding. But here's the key. Confirmation is not meant to be an end in itself. It is an invitation to act. When God repeats a message, He is calling for obedience, for trust, for movement. Ignoring these confirmations delays the very breakthrough He is trying to prepare you for. So now, I ask you, have you been noticing repeated signs? Have you heard the same message in ways you can't explain? Pay attention. This could be your divine confirmation, the sign you've been waiting for, the assurance that God is guiding you towards something greater. If this resonates with you, type confirmation in the comments and share your experience. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and like this video so more people can receive the confirmation they've been searching for. Let's continue. The fourth sign is the closing of certain doors. In the grand design of life, there are moments when doors seem to close before us, abrupt and unyielding. At times, it feels as though everything is falling apart, and we're left standing in the ruins of what once was. Perhaps you've been there. Perhaps you felt the sting of a job lost, a relationship that crumbled, or plans that seemed perfect, only to dissolve before your eyes. It's as if the world suddenly shifts beneath your feet, leaving you uncertain, confused, and at times afraid. These moments, while painful, are not the end. They are often the beginning of something greater, though the path may not always be clear at first. Consider the times in life when we resist change. When a door closes, the natural reaction is to push against it, to try to pry it open, to hold on to what we know. After all, letting go feels like surrendering, and surrendering feels like loss. The old job, the friendship, the relationship, all these things become familiar, and we cling to them because they are known. But in the spiritual realm, there's a higher truth at play, one that tells us that sometimes we must let go to make room for something better. This is the essence of divine timing, the understanding that some doors close not because we've failed, but because something greater is on its way. It's not always easy to accept, especially when we're staring at the remnants of what used to be. It's hard to trust that something bigger is waiting for us just beyond the horizon when all we can see is the darkness of the present moment. But this is where faith becomes powerful. It's in the unknown, in the moments when everything seems to be crumbling, that the seeds of new blessings are often planted. I want you to think back to a time when a door slammed shut in your life. Maybe it was a job opportunity that was pulled out from under you, or a friendship that faded away without explanation. At the time, it probably felt like an end, like a final chapter you never asked to write. Yet looking back, can you see how it made way for something greater? Perhaps that job loss led to a more fulfilling career, or the end of that relationship opened your heart to something more aligned with your true path. There are countless stories of individuals who faced what seemed like devastating closings, only to later discover that they were being prepared for something far greater. The key is this: trust the process. Trust that when things fall apart, it's often because there is something far better ahead. Divine timing has its own way of guiding us, and while we may not always understand it in the moment, the results speak for themselves when the next door opens. What may have felt like a loss was, in fact, a divine redirection. I want to ask you, have you ever experienced a time when a door closed in your life, only for something even greater to follow? Perhaps you resisted the change at first, perhaps you didn't understand why it was happening. But when you look back now, can you see the wisdom in that closed door? The door that shut was not your end, but your beginning. It's a shift that often requires patience and trust, knowing that your story is unfolding exactly as it should. The last sign is strong and sudden urge to prepare. Something shifts deep within. It's not a whisper, but a sudden, undeniable pull, an urgency that refuses to be ignored. It doesn't come with explanations, just a pressing awareness that something is on the horizon. You wake up with a need to prepare, to get your house in order, to tie up loose ends as if an unseen deadline has been set in motion. At first, it may seem random, a thought here, an impulse there. But then, the pattern emerges. The feeling intensifies. It lingers in the background of your daily routine, urging you to move. It's as if your spirit knows what your mind has yet to comprehend. This isn't just restlessness. It's not an empty desire for change. It's divine positioning. God doesn't drop blessings into chaos. He prepares his chosen ones before the shift occurs. This is not passive waiting. It is an active, intentional alignment with what is coming. You might suddenly feel compelled to get your finances in order, to clear out debts, to save, to budget differently, though there is no immediate reason why. You might be drawn to learn a new skill, one that seems irrelevant to your current situation. But something inside you insists, this will be needed soon. There's an urge to move, relocate, or restructure your life. And while logic resists, the feeling persists. This is how divine preparation works. Look at Noah. He wasn't reacting to a visible storm. He was responding to a divine instruction. He built an ark under a clear sky. He prepared for something that had never happened before, simply because God told him to. Imagine the doubt, the ridicule, the questions he must have faced. Yet he obeyed. He moved with urgency before there was evidence. And when the rains finally came, he was not scrambling. He was ready. That's the difference between those who are caught off guard and those who are positioned. When you feel that sudden shift, do not ignore it. The preparation is just as important as the blessing itself. If God is pressing you to clear your path, it's because something is on the way. Those nudges are not coincidences. They are instructions wrapped in urgency. Pay attention to what you are being called to do. Start small. Take practical steps, even if they don't make sense yet. The ark wasn't built in a day. It was built in obedience. And when the moment arrives, you will realize why the urgency was placed in you. You will see that every step, every sacrifice, every shift was leading to the moment when preparation meets purpose. Every moment you've spent here has not been by accident. You were drawn to this message, pulled by something beyond logic. Something divine. The signs you've encountered, the whispers you've heard, the alignment of events, they were never coincidences. They were markers on your path, guiding you, confirming what your spirit has known all along. What has been spoken today is not just information, it is revelation. And revelation demands a response. You cannot walk away from this unchanged. You cannot ignore what has been stirring within you. There is a reason this message found you at this exact time in your life. You are on the edge of something great, something prepared for you long before you even realized you needed it. Right now, I need you to do something powerful. Declare it. Make it known. Type "I receive" in the comments, not just as a habit, but as a declaration of faith. When you speak it, when you write it, when you claim it, something shifts. Your words have weight. Your agreement with this message releases what has been waiting for you in the spiritual realm. If you believe that what you've heard today was meant for you, don't keep it to yourself. Someone out there is searching for confirmation, waiting for a sign that their prayers have not been ignored. Be that vessel. Share this message. Like this video so more people can find it. Subscribe so you never miss what is being poured out here. When you engage, you become a part of something bigger than yourself. You help carry this revelation into the hands of those who are desperate for answers. And now, I speak this blessing over you. May the doors that have been shut against you be flung open. May the weight that has been pressing on your spirit be lifted. May clarity replace confusion. And may divine acceleration push you into what is yours. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more second-guessing. What was once delayed is now released. What was once hidden is now revealed. What was once bound is now loosed in Jesus' name. You have received. You have aligned. Now walk in it.